I'm Vic Myers. Welcome to the Resistance. You know Washington's full of performers, right? Cory Booker, he might be the most exhausting one of all. All style, no substance, and in the face of tyranny, that kind of theater it's not just annoying, it's damaging. He made headlines a couple months ago for delivering the longest standing speech in Senate history. But it wasn't a filibuster. It wasn't a floor fight. There was no procedural leverage to be had. It was just a one-man show that stopped the chamber. No strategy, no results, except for one. I got a fundraising email before he even left the Capitol that night. It wasn't activism, it was ad copy. Last winter, I asked a Democratic insider why national Dems weren't helping with the national ground game and the candidates in the Florida special elections. Why not support the organizers who were actually fighting to win, even in the districts no one else would touch? He told me that what the national ground game was doing was wrong. Said it gave people false hope. Said it was bad for the party. And yet that same insider was as giddy as a kid in a candy shop when Cory Booker staged his phony filibuster. He called it a great moment of leadership. Said it vaulted Booker into the frontrunner status for the Democratic presidential primary. You see the problem? Real work gets ignored. Real fighters get dismissed. But if you give them a camera and a catchphrase and just enough drama to sell a donation, well, they'll call that leadership. And somehow, organizers doing the hard work, knocking doors, building coalitions, showing up where it counts, they're seen as a problem. What Booker does is the real problem. He talks tough, he fires people up, he collects donations, and he disappears. People get their hopes up thinking there's a fight on the way. But there's no plan, there's no follow-through. Just noise. Another letdown. It doesn't build power, it drains it. Now today, Booker's back in the headlines, shouting on the Senate floor about a police funding bill he had nothing to say about in committee. He waited until the deal was done and the ink was dry. Then, and only then, he stepped into the spotlight. It's not strategy, it's performance. Meanwhile, real progressives like Bernie and AOC, they're traveling the country calling on Dems to fight harder and stand up for working people. The difference is they don't stop at slogans. They offer plans. They call for a wealth tax. They push for ending genocide. They demand oversight. They don't just talk tough. They show up for the fight. Booker, on the other hand, he just rails against the Democrats, like he's not one of them, like he hasn't had years to push for real legislation. Where's his filibuster to tax the rich? Where's his stand against genocide? Where's his plan to expose Trump's backroom deals? You won't find it, because the very moment that the cameras turn off, Cory Booker disappears. Now, in the interest of fairness, I asked Hal, that's what I call my chat GPT, I asked Hal if he could find any examples of Cory Booker offering real solutions. And he showed me some decent bills. Healthcare equity, environmental justice, and a few consumer protections. But there's absolutely nothing out there that matches his rhetoric. There's nothing that feels like it's fighting the system that he keeps condemning. Nothing that challenges the march toward fascism that so many of us are trying to stop. Booker, he speaks like a revolutionary, but he legislates like a placeholder. He only knows how to sound righteous. Because if your best moments only happen after the decisions are made, well, you're not leading, you're acting. Give that man an Oscar. Folks, beware the carnival barker. He's just selling tickets to the show. He's not the main act. Thanks for listening. Good day.